I went to the Google Play Store to see what games Google listed were similar to King's Raid, as I wanted to make the best comparison that I could here in the intro. And I get games like Path to Nowhere and Neural Cloud. What? Path to Nowhere is a very complex, story-rich tactical tower defense game that shares absolutely no similarity to King's Raid. Now, in King's Raid, you take on the role of Castle, who, wait, hold on a sec, we just back up. Wait, that right there is Castle's childhood friend? I am sorry, what? She is your childhood friend. That woman you grew up with. And you haven't put a ring on that yet. You are still somehow single. Dude, I don't think I can take this guy seriously. He's leaving her up for grabs like a medium rare prime rib in a Texas Roadhouse. I have played a lot of fantasy games, but none that are so detached from reality as this. Hey, my name is Stix and welcome back to the Worst Gacha Ever, a video series where I discuss a gacha and tell you guys what I thought in explicit detail as we attempt to find the worst gacha ever. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that little bell notification. That way you remain up to date with every single thing that I post, and I post every Sunday. Do not miss out. Now go grab a vanilla Coke, a nacho cheese bag of Doritos, and let's jump right in. King's Raid is a side-scrolling, mostly idle yapfest RPG. I mean, narrative-driven RPG. You're Castle, or as I like to refer to him as Dumbass Dave, because he has Frey, who is an absolute goddess, following him around, and he doesn't give her the time of day. And it's not like he has hundreds of women fawning over him. He's just a dumbass. You're joined by a cast of characters that fit into stereotypical character archetypes. Cleo, Roy, Klaus. These are some of the most basic characters in terms of design and personality. I'm guessing in an attempt to motivate you to pull for other characters. Like, at least in Wuthering Waves, the Rover is stunning. The Trailblazer in Hawkeye's Star Rail looks fantastic, but come on, man. Castle, nah. That ain't it. At least some of the other characters like Urza and Desaya, who I had to pull for, look good enough. But in 3 weeks of playing, I only accumulated enough premium currency for what, 2 characters, since Glenwis was given as a freebie. Alright, I could go on about how unbelievably generic the cast of characters is for like another 5 minutes, but let's talk the game itself. You'll see a lot of icons on screen at any given time. Clicking the portal button towards the bottom of the screen will take you to a fast travel menu beginning with chapters. I'm currently at chapter 7. Every chapter has several dozen missions, with each mission having numerous story cutscenes, followed by several waves of enemies, culminating in a boss battle. There are little side areas, side stories, side content, like the Tower of Challenge, the Hall of Heroes. After selecting a mission, you'll deploy 4 characters, with your characters moving across the screen horizontally, blowing the enemies, exchanging blows with the enemies. There is a degree of manual play involved in gameplay. You can use one of 3 skills each character possesses, meaning you can theoretically clear content the AI is too incompetent to clear if you time your defensives or your heals or your bursts appropriately. That's a gameplay. Each chapter allows you to freely run around a small map between missions. The same is done in Orville, the main city that you and your not waifu Frey grew up in. How did you go your entire life without a girlfriend, dude? How could you do poor Frey like this? She's so full of personality and love, ready to cushion you between her warm, soft, supple, healing light. Orville is a bit of a hub. It's a central base that provides access to a lot of different utilities. A general store, where you can purchase gear and XP vials, to Heroes Inn, where you can slowly befriend characters to recruit, to Stockade Vault, where you farm daily resources limited to twice per day, which I really dislike. I'd rather you gate XP behind stamina that I can grind if I have a lot of excess stamina, as opposed to limiting my progress to twice per day. Same with skill upgrade tickets. It makes progression abhorrently slow. Kinda like Castle intellectually. That dude is suffering from severe brain rot. You can participate in the arena and let your AI group fight another player's AI group. You can forge gear, awaken gear, alter gear entirely. You can form a guild. There are a lot of options within the city that you'll need to make use of daily. Navigating to and from the city and areas around the city artificially inflates the amount of time necessary to complete everything, but what can you do? Back at the portal, you'll see the Hall of Heroes. There are 3 options available. The Room of Ordeals, where you'll select a character and essentially limit break them, removing certain level limitations present, gating you from leveling them beyond said limitations. These require certain resources, fragments with higher quality materials being necessary as more upgrades are made. Room of Purification, this is where you take a hero that has cleared the Room of Ordeals to pay for their purification. Honestly, Frey can purify me any day of the week, man. I'd let her spray her juices all over me. Her sacred juices, her holy juices, you know, to purify me. Don't make this weird. Tower of Ordeals, which has you engage waves of enemies with a set group of characters, Dumbass Dave, Frey, Roy, and Cleo. You're rewarded with valuable resources for clearing content. The Hall of Heroes acts as your main form of character advancement. The Tower of Challenge is your basic infinite level tower game mode where you farm a series of boss fights one by one, progressing as far as you can before hitting a wall. You can also obtain artifacts by using the Restore Artifacts feature. There's a functional raid system present. I've only unlocked the Dragon raid, and honestly I haven't devoted much time to it. You essentially form a group, or you join a group and you attempt to kill a dragon with waves of enemies splitting up different phases of the encounter. This requires you level more than your basic group of 4 heroes, which when your resources are highly limited as is, proves to be quite the arduous process. It's a cool feature though, that is no doubt much more manageable when you're max level, or when XP acquisition is much less of a focus for your main group. The world boss is more or less the same thing. Every player across every server engages in an enormous world boss. This requires 2 teams, a main and a sub. I just realized I never unlocked the Temple of the God King because I missed the side content that unlocks it. Once again, there is a lot of side content that you can do, some of which unlocks important features like this. The Eclipse game mode is unlocked in the same way. Clearing the Temple of the God King story, which is Chapter 6.5. Shakma is locked behind Chapter 9.5's epilogue. That'll take me a long time to reach, given I'm struggling a little bit with Chapter 7. The remainder of features are either inconsequential or unlocked at later points in the story, which I just do not have the time or the willingness to make progress towards. Partly because of how slowly you level in the game, and partly because this game absolutely bores me to death. But that's okay. Frey can revive me. I'll rest my head in her firm embrace as she uses her hands to take me to heaven. I mean, bring me back from heaven. Now let's talk to characters, because character models for characters like Urza and Isaiah are genuinely good, but a lot of them really just aren't, unfortunately. Immediately upon selecting a hero, you'll be able to alter their gear. Thankfully, there is an auto-equip feature present. I hate when there isn't. I don't want to manually sort through everything myself. I do not have that kind of time. I play idle or auto games like this, so I don't have to play with myself. I don't have to play it myself. Each hero has one of several class archetypes: Knight, Warrior, Assassin, Archer, Mechanic, Wizard, and Priest. Apparently, Mechanic is one of those classes. I upon further inspection, do not recall ever seeing any mechanic classes or see the utility for a mechanic, but I mean, apparently it is present. The Common tab allows you to transcend your character, taking you back to the Tower of Challenge. This is an easy way to access a feature. The Skills tab allows you to level each ability separately. Skills have 4 rarities, for whatever reason, each requiring you to farm them separately. And this is still gated behind 2 entries per day in the stockades. Each character can equip certain runes, adding an additional layer of customization. Runes can boost damage, CC resist, total HP, defense. I actually don't mind this. Leveling costs either vials, you can grind or obtain through various means in game, through clearing content, or the stockade. But as of Chapter 7, with a team of over level 80 heroes, leveling is slowed down tremendously, which has made clearing Chapter 7 and moving into Chapter 8 significantly more difficult. Yay. There's a crafting system in game, although I didn't know it existed until I ran out of Stones of Infinity, and I proceeded to Google exactly how to get more of them to transcend my heroes, which has me a little concerned I'm missing more than the displayed unlockable features, and I just don't know I am. You can craft materials to aid you in growth, gear, sell stone tickets, and other fun, useful items. The story unfortunately bored me to tears. I legit cried the manliest tears, and I needed Frey to console me, and she was more than willing. She's such a kind soul. She cradled me like a baby. She gently caressed me, touched me in ways I've never been touched before. What a woman. Castle is an absolute dumbass for ignoring her. The story feels very JRPG-ish. It's slow, highly convoluted, and unnecessary. I think the basis for the story is good, but there is so much talking. I tune about half of it out. I still think there's like at least 5 times too much. You could very easily condense so much of this down into something much more digestible without suffering any loss in quality. On the contrary, you'd probably see a significant increase in quality since things would be more concise and to the point. You spend more time listening to pointless exposition than doing anything else in this game. It is horrendous. Now let's talk the gacha, since I think that's pretty much everything at this point. Navigating to the shop, you'll see the Summon and Heroes section. Let's click Heroes. Here you'll see pretty much every single character that you can recruit in one easily accessible tab. To purchase, you'll require rubies. You can purchase or earn rubies in game, but it is a slow process if you do this the free-to-play way. In King's Raid, the summon feature functions a little bit differently. You don't summon heroes, instead you summon items, gear. It's really quite unusual. Rates for summons are honestly pretty bad, well, for anything useful or worthwhile. And while you do get free summons on occasion, the bulk of summons cost rubies, meaning you need to prioritize characters or gear. I do not like this. I want hot waifus and their appropriate gear, but maybe I'm just entitled and want to be able to enjoy the game at maximum value when I shouldn't be able to. King's Raid has the makings of something really fun, but my god is it held back by atrociously slow storytelling, very basic gameplay, boring characters, and a largely limiting gacha system. Now let's break down my rating. Content 8 out of 10. There really truly is a lot to do in game, so much so that you often feel overwhelmed with things to do, which isn't bad. Difficulty 4 out of 10. The difficulty spike in this game is rough. I don't mind a difficult game, but this makes it almost unbearable. Free-to-play friendliness, 3 out of 10. I think it's pretty pay to win. I know you don't have to summon heroes, but being forced to pick and rewarding paying players with both gear and heroes kinda sucks. Gameplay, 5 out of 10. Honestly, combat wasn't bad at all, pretty average. Graphics, 3 out of 10. Abilities weren't too great, character models weren't great at all. The scenery was generic and reused. It could have been a lot better. Sound, 4 out of 10. I don't recall anything that even caught my attention. Story, 4 out of 10. This could have been such a good story if they just condensed about 85% of it. Otherwise, it is far too lengthy to consume. Voice acting, 5 out of 10. Honestly, not a bad dub at all. Pretty decent even for gacha standards. World, 6 out of 10. Pretty solid. Lots of lore, lots of areas to visit, lots of backstory. Fun, 3 out of 10. I was horrifically bored. Constantly gated by significant spikes in difficulty, and then couldn't farm resources I needed to progress at my own pace. Overall, I'd give this 45 frays out of 100 castles, or 4.5 dumbasses out of 10. This was depressing to play. Hey, where do you think you're going? I see what you're doing there. I see you navigating on over, scrolling on over to that X button. Don't you dare. What I need you to do is take a moment and click one of the videos that are about to appear as soon as I'm done talking. And trust me, you're gonna wanna.